What is up, everybody? Welcome to the 16th episode, Broken Records of the Sports Hour Plus with Miller and Watson. Today, again, as he was here last week when I was at the Combine, Javon Alford is here from TotalSportsLive.com and Fanside to help us break down what are like the kind of craziest times of the sports season. I feel like it's a super underrated time in the sports season where, even though NFL is not actively playing, free agency is about to start. Believe the league year starts at 4 p.m. on Monday, but all those unofficial rumors and things start happening. We already know Russ has been given pretty much told that he's not coming back, so he can go seek a trade or not a trade, go start talking to people now. Which I have to say is quite nice of the Broncos. I don't know if every team would do that, but that's nice of them, I guess. But there's just so much going on. We have March Madness about to start. We're in the thick of basketball, thick of hockey. Spring training started. It's wild out here. I had to tell Kyle, and I was like, I don't think I can do a hockey segment today because I'll be honest with you, I have been focusing on free agency and March Madness and the combine. It's been kind of a crazy couple weeks that I feel like are a little bit underwhelmed or not underwhelming. That's definitely not the right word. Kind of underthought about. People kind of, I feel like every year forgetting this year, this like kind of 2 weeks creeps up on us, and everybody in sports is like, oh my gosh. But how are you guys? It's good to be back. I'm in Connecticut. Kylan was asking me if I'm happy to be here this weekend. I'm not here this weekend. I'm going up to Vermont for a dance competition because dance season seemingly never ends as well. This is officially the last one, so hopefully I'll be able to relax for a little bit before all my real craziness starts with the wedding. How are you guys?
Good. Good, man. I can't complain. Had a very, very interesting week. Start of the week. First and foremost, happy International Women's Day to all the women out there.
Thank
It
you.
is
Thank you.
International Women's Day. But yeah, my week's been kind of crazy, It started on Sunday. We had a little Garden State incident in the backyard, so I had to humanely evict him or she, and then our next door neighbor had like a fire next door to us. We're fine.
Oh
Scenically
my
coming to y'all,
gosh.
scenic my room. No damage to us. Him and his wife lost their third floor, so say some prayers and thoughts to them.
Oh wow.
But
Geez,
it's
that's
all
horrible.
it's all yeah, it's all insured and stuff. So they're good, but they're have to rebuild a whole third floor of their house. But in comparison to what could have happened, it could have been way worse. So,
Exactly.
say a prayer and a thought for them. Shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Marvin Dandridge next door to us, down here in Philly. But yeah, other than that, everything's been other than those 2 days of craziness on Sunday and Monday, everything's been pretty chill since then. Besides
Yeah,
Jason Kelsey retiring down here, but
I know. I know. We'll get into that, but like I know people always like make fun of people who are like, as a Giants fan, when like tragedy happens or whatever. But like, I think this was one. This might have been the most emotional retirement I think I've felt across the league. I think everybody was with Philly that day, even those who aren't. Again, I'm as far of a Phillies as a Eagles fan as you could be, being a Giants fan and growing up in DC. So everywhere across the board, Philadelphia kicks our butts, and I hate them. But I love me some Jason Kelsey. So again, we'll talk about that later. But Javon, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Glad to be back on with y'all for another episode, diving into the whole entire sports world. Like you said, jumping on. There's a lot to talk about. So many things going
So
on. I feel like
much.
we had that dead period after Super Bowl where it was like everything's quiet. You just got NBA trade deadline, like nothing really happening. Pitchers and catchers reporting. Now we're in March and the calendar is like reigniting. So excited to
It's
be
like
back on
what's the
with y'all.
saying? We sleep in May. Is that the saying? We sleep in May. I know that's like a
Yeah,
March
I think
Madness saying, but like I think it
yeah.
applies to everything right now.
Sleep in January the next year.
Yeah,
That's how it's
I
supposed
mean,
to be.
yeah. I always say this that when I first got the job that I'm working at NBC, little naive me asked, I was like, "Well, what do we do in the off season?" And my now boss, laughed. He's like, "Well, there isn't really an off season for the NFL. We kind of just keep going." Which is so true. And when I tell people that, they're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, you have the Super Bowl, then you have the combine, then you have free agency, then you have the draft, and then you have a little bit of dead period, then you have rookie mini camp, and then you have a little bit of dead period, and then training camps. And people are like, "Can you cover all of that?" I was like, "Yeah." This year's actually going to be interesting because we have the Olympics too. So the Olympics puts a big old stamp in the middle of that. So at this time next week, I will know what I'm doing for the Olympics, so we can talk about it on here. I get my assignment Monday at 3:30, which is very exciting. So, could be a noon to midnight shift or a 2 a.m. to 2 p.m. shift. You never know. They're 12-hour shifts for what, Kylan, about a month straight?
Yeah,
3
basically.
weeks?
So to like mid-August, right?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's like mid-July. So I'll get back from my honeymoon, be nice, tan, calm, relaxed, go right into sleeping in Stamford at a hotel for a month. And so it'll be fun. But let's get started because, again, there's so much to talk about. So we're going to get right into it with kind of something that threw a little bit of a wrench in our day. I don't know if necessarily we were planning on diving this much into this, but Russell Wilson watch. Like I mentioned earlier, the Broncos have given him permission to start talking to teams, even though the league year technically does not start until Monday at 4. They have let him know that they will be releasing him, so he needs to go find another job. But Adam Schefter from ESPN reported that he is planning on meeting with Pittsburgh, and then it came out that he is then going, or he already had a meeting with the Giants in Meadowlands, New Jersey. And I'm going to take this one from the start. God, I hope that the Giants don't sign him. That is the last thing that we need right now. I promise. And you laughed me. And before before we went live, Kylan was like, "But you guys have Daniel Jones. I would have thought you were so happy." And like, yeah, but Daniel Jones is not a big enough problem for me to put Russell Wilson in that locker room. I just with the media, with this, with that, I just, and like full transparency, with him being married to Sierra, like him being in a place that isn't a bustling metropolitan probably is a good thing, because when they move to New York, she's going to start having all these events. And not that that's a bad thing. Like, boss ass bitch, like she's got to do her thing. Like, she's unreal. She's beautiful, talented, seems like a pretty nice person, all that. But if being married to my quarterback, I don't want my quarterback distracted by that. And I think that, maybe he's old enough, maybe he can block out the haters or whatever, but the New York haters are pretty loud. It's a pretty rough media life to be in with. And Russ doesn't, not that he doesn't handle the media well, because that's not fair, but he's like that Bill Belichick media training where he doesn't give you anything. And, but he is this big star. And I don't know. I just feel like the Giants are in a building time right now. So why not build someone? Again, there's so many good quarterbacks in this draft. Draft a wide receiver first round. Get Rome Odunze, who I am obsessed with and I really, really want on our team. Get Rome. Second round, get a quarterback. There's going to be good quarterbacks that are left to the second round because there are so many good ones this year. Like, I don't know who's going to fall, but get JJ McCarthy. I was literally saying this earlier, that JJ is would be perfect for the Giants because of the offense that Michigan runs. It's hand the ball off, throw on third down, hand the ball off, random scramble. Like, that's what Daniel Jones does now. Why not get somebody young in there, train him to do that, or keep Daniel Jones, have JJ be his backup, where they're playing similar styles anyway. So if Daniel gets hurt, put JJ in. That's my thought on it. I don't think Russ is who we need right now. Steelers, perfect. Go to the Steelers. You got it there.
Javon, you want to go?
Yeah, so like you said, the Giants will be better off going in a different direction other than Russ, because they're in this weird rebuilding stage, right? We saw them not tag Saquon, which I think we all kind of expected, but that's kind of the signaling of we're trying to retool things in this new Joe Schoen, Brian Daboll era. Then they don't tag Xavier McKinney, so you're, like you said, you're Giants fan, you're trying to figure out what is going on, right? And Russell Wilson doesn't fit those plans. Russell Wilson's kind of win now type of move. So I think you're right. If you're the Giants, you draft a quarterback, like you said, you take your wide receiver in round 1, which you desperately need. If JJ falls to round 2, I don't think, who knows, because everybody's been trying to hype up that meter since the combine of pushing them in that top 10, 15. Maybe Michael Penix is there in round 2 for the Giants. Maybe Brian Daboll takes a shot in day.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, or maybe Daboll takes a shot in day 3 on a guy like Joe Milton, who could be like that Josh Allen type quarterback where he have this big arm, but you got to try to hone the skills in. So if you're the Giants, like you said, go for the younger quarterback, not the old guy. Steelers, I think he would be the perfect fit if he's the perfect fit if you don't want Justin Fields, because Kenny Pickett just ain't it. Like you knew things were bad when Kenny Pickett was healthy and Mike Tomlin them still decided we're going to stick with Mason Rudolph.
Mason Rudolph, like what?
Mason Rudolph, like he's still. Rudolph.
I can tell you that something that a big reason why I think that the Steelers should go for that is because I worked the Thursday night Steelers Patriots game. It may have been the Patriots game where Steelers, I think it was Patriots.
Oh yeah, I remember that game. It was bad.
And it was bad. Like they should not have lost. Like crap hit the fan and they lost at the end. We're standing out there waiting because I'm like, well, if I'm here, it's not Heinz Field anymore. It's like Accenture Light or something stupid. But I was like, I want to go see Renegade. And we all thought so the sticks were there, so we thought they were going to play Renegade live. They didn't, but we all went out and we're standing like. There's like a press area where you can stand kind of like above, and it's cool. You can see the whole stadium. And we ended up going down a little bit farther to sit with the fans, and they are screaming, "Fire Mike Tomlin! Fire Mike Tomlin!" And I'm like, you guys are all insane. Mike Tomlin is not the problem. And then this is when Mason Rudolph was not in yet, and they were screaming, "Put in Rudolph! Put in Rudolph!" And I was like, your fans are all over the place right now, and I feel like as you can see the turmoil, and again, I know you don't cater to the fans as an organization, but like, why not go for someone like Russ, who is an experienced quarterback? If they feel like they can win right now, go with Russ. You don't know how much longer you have Cam Hayward. You don't know how much longer you have TJ Watt. You don't know how much longer you have some of these guys that are getting up there that are good, still good players, but they're a full team. The Giants are not. I'll crap on my Giants if it makes sure that Russ doesn't go there.
I don't know why y'all so against fun, man. Like, what's wrong with y'all? He been in Denver. We, Jeff Lurie has wanted him in Philly for forever. Like, that's the next logical step. Is
you guys can have him. Take him in Philly. We'll take Jalen Hurts. You guys can have him.
He look, man. I think if you want to win, which it seems like the Giants want to do because they're in New York, the Jets aren't really going anywhere with 40-year-old CTE Aaron Rodgers. So it's right there for the taking. So I just think if it's there, why I'm not against fun. Why not? He's better than Daniel Jones. It's better than waiting on Michael Penix or JJ McCarthy to adjust to the NFL because you have that adjustment period. You're not going to have Saquon Barkley, so you won't have a running back to take the pressure off. So it's all going to fall on your receivers. There won't be a Sterling Shepard. So you know what? As I'm talking about this, I just think it might just be better just for Daniel Jones to just suffer behind that O-line just a little bit longer. We want to save Russell Wilson's life, even though I'm sure Sierra's like New York. Pittsburgh is better win now for him. And I think I would love to see him in a Giants uniform, if nothing else, just to have Morgan explode every week over. But
Russ is one of my least favorite people in the NFL. Like, I find him so annoying. Like, I can't. He's one of those people that, like, on the Giants, I would be really struggling if I was like could root for him. Like, when the story about him doing like the high knees on the plane, I was like, are you effing kidding me? Like, you are the worst. Like, you are so annoying. Like, I would rather have somebody like what Odell was doing on the sideline, like throwing benches and stuff, than have Russell Wilson. Like, I find him, but again, I find that like whiny, like never my fault. I find that personality really annoying. Like, one of the reasons, we'll get to it in a little bit, why like LeBron is not my favorite. There's like certain people like that I find really frustrating. I'm like, what? Like, I don't know, it drives me like a little bit crazy sometimes. Like when people like I hate like floppers and like that kind of stuff in like basketball. I'm like, what are you doing? Just get up. But not that Russell does that, but they're all in like that category of like annoying things that athletes do. Whereas like Daniel Jones just doesn't annoy me. He doesn't do anything. He's not a bad quarterback. He had a bad year, but like they paid him, just like let it ride out. You know, here's my thing.
In his
The
defense,
big thing, and then we can
anybody would have a bad year behind that offensive line. That offensive line was
exactly.
like Green Bay Packers bad. Like offensive line was
So
horrible.
like that's the thing that I don't think people understand how bad their O-line was. And like they built the offense around having Saquon and Daniel Jones on the field together, and they never were on the field together. They both were hurt at different times. So like, why not? If I were them, I mean, they're not going to be able to keep Saquon, but like get a running back like Saquon in there, a strong runner, and try it again. And again, my thing is, okay, I don't think Russell's it either. So what is the purpose if you're not going to draft a quarterback? I would say there's better quarterbacks in the second round of the draft than Russell is right now, and especially if you want to play them under Daniel Jones, who I feel like would be a good leader and like teacher and stuff like that. But that's it. I just couldn't do it every week. I really don't think I could do it every week watching him. Maybe I'd learn to love him.
For pure entertainment purposes, for my entertainment and the audience,
from your
we need this to happen. Like I need Russell Wilson.
We're gonna like come on like by the end of the season, my hair is gonna be all gray and like.
For pure entertainment purposes and for pure fan purposes, I'm taking the journalist hat off real quick. For pure fan purposes, I need this to happen just to see what this would look like. I mean, I think Russell Wilson's good enough for like, what did y'all win, like 4 games last year? He's good enough for like 3 more games. You could be 7-10.
Yeah, but like, I would rather be 3-15 or 14 and be happy with my team than 7, which does nothing for you. You're not going to make the playoffs. You're going to have a shitty draft pick. I'm getting mad already.
But yeah, so I think he's good enough for 3 more wins. I think we were all in agreement that the Steelers just are a better fit because they have way more talent than the Giants do right now. I just think that for him, if he wants to win another ring, and if he wants to win, he'll go to the Steelers. If it's for pure entertainment purposes and for Sierra's marketing, then he'll go to New York. But if it's for pure winning purposes, and I'm not saying that, Pittsburgh is not the entertainment mecca of the world. It's not, but it's close. I think that Russell Wilson can do a lot more, have a lot more impact with the Steelers under Mike Tomlin, under that organized leadership. Because all Pittsburgh is really missing is a quarterback and a running back who can stay healthy. And they have 3 of those, so they just need to find one and rebuild the offensive line, and they'll be great. Whereas the Giants need to do offensive line, find a running back, maybe find another quarterback, figure out what they're going to do with their tight end. Like, are you going to keep what's his name? Or are you going to trade him? They have a lot going on there. So I just think Pittsburgh would be better for him fit wise and win now wise. Now, obviously, you have to compete with the ultimate cheat code, which is Patrick Mahomes. But before that, you got to compete with Deshaun, Lamar, Joe Burrow. And I think if Russell goes there, clearly, like, he's not going to be he won't be the most talented because, you got Joe Burrow in there and Lamar Jackson, but he'll be the winningest QB in that division. And I think that counts for something. As we saw, experience matters. Just look at the Super Bowl. So I think the Steelers are a better fit for him.
I agree with you.
I didn't add, Javon?
No, I agree. I think Steelers a better fit. He'll have weapons there. I think the weapons in Pittsburgh will be way much better than he had in Denver. And Arthur Smith, even though he wasn't a great head coach, maybe as an OC, maybe he can find something and get Russ back on track. Not the Russ that we saw in Denver the last years, or maybe the Russ that we saw in his last year at Seattle, which was solid enough.
Yeah. Okay. So Dartmouth, I'm going to take this one because Morgan can't go too deep on this one. Dartmouth men's basketball votes to unionize this week. So for those of you that don't know, we have been watching, as sports reporters and sports media have been watching Dartmouth I know a school that most of y'all probably have not heard of. It is an Ivy League school. So their men's basketball team decided to unionize. You guys may have remembered you're probably looking at this and saying, but wait, Colin, what happened to Northwestern? Well, that Northwestern thing kind of fell apart because that was probably the biggest school that y'all heard was trying to unionize. And obviously all that stuff came out about their coach and everything. And so that thing kind of fell by the wayside. But Dartmouth actually successfully had a unionization vote. And, I'm very excited for this, if nothing else, because I am a huge, as both Javon and Morgan know, I am a huge chaos agent, a chaos fan. So I'm all for the chaos that this brings. Even though it's Ivy League, they don't get scholarships. That wouldn't happen if you had a collective bargaining agreement, right? I think the two biggest words, if you're an NCAA or a college sports purist, that you're going to hate right now is collective bargaining, because the courts already handed the NCAA a loss last week saying that they have no right to control each of these colleges in these various different states and how they do NIL, and they all have to live under state laws anyway. So, Congress is begging for some federal action, which we know is not going to happen with who's in control of the House right now. So, it is looking. If you're a purist of the college sports, you want to go back to the old BCS model. It's not going to happen. So I'm all for this Dartmouth unionization, only because I think that there should be a players union. I always thought what the SEC did, everybody always tells that stupid little story about how, Jalen Hurts decided to commit. No, Jalen Hurts couldn't go anywhere because the SEC had that dumb rule that if you wanted to transfer, and both Javon and Morgan can back me up on this because it's well known in our industry that the reason he didn't go anywhere and didn't go to Oklahoma right away is because Nick Saban didn't let him, because back then the SEC had a rule that if you transferred, you had to get coach's approval. And of course, Nick Saban is not going to be like, oh yeah, Jalen, go ahead, go away, yeah. Like, come on. And people have been telling that lie way too long. So, no, he was not being a team player. It was because they wouldn't let him leave. like he didn't get to Oklahoma sooner. So, I think this is I'm all for this because I think it'll stop all the stupidness that is within the college sports world. And I think I am, go for it, because the Ivy League, as goes the Ivy League, as we found out during 2020, so goes the rest of college sports. So prepare for more unionization efforts.
Yeah,
I think this is a really, really. No. Go.
Oh, no, I was just going to say I agree with you. I think it's good that we have this union because, as we see just with college athletics, the schools and these programs have so much power, over, these players. And, obviously we got NIL, they got NIL. So that's the first step. But even like you said, the whole transferring thing, right? That used to be a big thing. Now kids have the opportunity where they can leave and then play immediately. They don't have to wait, like you said, for a coach's approval and be like, all right, I got to sit. No, you can go play right away. So to see Dartmouth do this, and like you said, collective bargaining, they don't want that because players can eventually get to direct compensations, which is another big thing for those guys. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Some of the stuff that they're not asking for, but wanting in here is stuff that I feel like some people in the world, and not the world, but in the US would be surprised that they they didn't already have. One of the things that they cited was wanting to get healthcare so that they better good healthcare so they can use outside training. Because you think about it, a school like Dartmouth that is, even though it's an Ivy League and I'm sure the endowment is huge, it's a smaller school. It's up really far north. There's not as much up there. So say somebody gets tragically hurt, breaks their leg in half on the football field or something, and they want to be able to be, seen by the best medical or sports doctor. They want to go down to New York City and see that sports doctor. Maybe their insurance doesn't cover it, but maybe this helps them. But then you think, a school like Alabama, all those SEC schools, they have the best. All of their medical training staff is unbelievable. Probably realistically better sometimes than some of the professional medical staffs, because not only do they have trainers, they also have students that are working there. So they have so many access to people that are there to help them, where some of these smaller schools, they don't have access to that. And we mentioned, like, they don't get scholarships. So it's different. They're still paying for school. They're still, I mean, it's an Ivy League. They're still very much going to classes. I don't know how much you guys know about the Ivies, but like when they have finals, so their finals are this week. So they have to, all of their games have to end before, for the Ivy League, they have to end before, I want to say it's tonight or tomorrow.
Wow.
They have, and then they have a week off before they start their
You mean
their
midterms
tournament. So
or finals?
their tournament starts next weekend for
Yeah.
basketball.
Yeah.
So, and they do the same for like the spring. They call it like finals, finals break maybe, but they don't play games during the finals. Like they don't travel during finals, which is very different than other schools. Other schools don't care. That's not like something that their priority is. But in the Ivies, it is still very much school. So I think that having an NCAA that's ruling over all of them is difficult for schools that are in such a different place, like, you know, like a Dartmouth, like even some of like a Notre Dame, some of the schools that are very much surrounded around religion or things like that, that like their rules might not always be the same as the NCAA. And so having your own union within the school and the kids knowing that before they decide to commit to that school. Maybe some schools you come into it and you sign a contract saying that you have to stay there for 2-3 years. Maybe that's part of it. You never know. All of these schools can do different things to either entice or keep kids, whatever that means for that specific union or rule set or whatever. And I think that's interesting. I think it's cool. I know that some of the schools aren't probably loving it. I know that Dartmouth tried to block these votes from happening, but I'm excited to see where it pans out. I don't want it to change the realm of college sports forever because I do love college sports, but I also think that these kids have to be more better protected, I guess.
Yeah, I'll say it like this. Yeah, trouble is brewing for the NCAA and you college sports purists, just because like Javon said and like I said, like NIL is just the first step. Like, you know, it is a shame for college athletes to have less rights than the three of us did when we were walking on college campuses. Like we could go anywhere, we could transfer.
Crazy.
I didn't have to. None of us had to ask permission of our advisor before we transferred. If we transferred, I don't know. I don't think any of us transferred from schools, but I could be wrong. You know, like I think that like if they don't have the rights of their fellow college students, they should. Like no one should have to like be like, hey coach, can I leave? Like come on now. Like and like, you know, I've always said, like, I've said this before on previous shows, like, these coaches lie all the time. Like, you know, like, you know, we just saw it in Washington. Like, Caleb DeBure, the guy whose name is very close to mine, was like, I'm here forever. Washington's a family. Nick Saban retired. Alabama ran him that check. And where was he at? Right on the first thing, smoking in Tuscaloosa. Like, come on.
I mean, JMU. Look at JMU, my alma mater.
Yep.
Kirk Cignetti was like, "We're making it to a bowl game. We're doing it. This is blah 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 blah." And then like went and left for Indiana. Again, I don't fault him for leaving to go to Indiana. That's a great job. But the way that he handled it at the end was so crappy for those student athletes. It proves how. I don't want to say how little they care about the student athletes because that's not fair and that's a total overstatement. But like. If you don't know the story, we got our first bowl game in school history. We just moved up to FBS. It's the most magical transition that any school has ever had from FCS to FBS. Like JMU breaking records all over the place. They finally get a bowl game. Like a day or two after they get announced the bowl game, Kirk Cignetti announced that he's leaving for Indiana. Everything starts brewing. Is he going to coach? Is he going to coach? What's going to happen? Blah, 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 blah. He goes to Indiana and does this weird press tour thing, whatever. Again, if you're the new head coach there, totally fine. Gets up on the speaker and without being asked was like, I'm 90% committed to Indiana, 10% committed to JMU in the bowl game. And we're like, you didn't have to say that. So then shit hit the fan. All our players transferred. Our like assistant coach coached the game. We lost by 1 million. Which sucked. Like that was such a crappy way to end it. Why not go out saying, I'm going to leave a lasting legacy at JMU, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, that's what it is. But
no, look, Morgan's being too safe. Like she doesn't want to say it, but I'll say it. Cause she got some future stuff to protect, but I'll say it. Like, you know, y'all, these coaches don't care. Like we look at him, Kalen DeBure, you just gave one with JMU. Like, it's a business at the end of the day. Like, I know the NCAA doesn't want to look at it like that, but that's what it is. It is a business. Like, it is. That's what it is. I mean, you want to even look. Shout out to the HBCUs. You don't gotta look too far. Like, look at what Deion did to Jackson State. Like, you ain't gotta look too far. And then went to Colorado and told them players, and scholarships don't really mean nothing. Get out of here. Like, I'm bringing all the HBCU talent over here. Like, you can see it both ways. Like, these coaches come in, all of them are not as like public about it like Deion was, because most of them don't have Amazon cameras for a documentary. But like, I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. Like, these new people come in. You ain't gotta look far. I mean, Kalen DeBeers, like I said, came in Alabama, and then what happened? Everybody at Alabama that was good started transferring, because he probably said, wink, wink, guys, my Washington players are coming here. So I don't need y'all anymore. Like that's what it is.
It's true. It's true.
Like
all
that's
right,
what it is.
So
what it is.
We're going to definitely talk about this way more, especially over the summer. There's so much more to dive into with that. Probably could do its own podcast on it. We're going to move to the NBA, where LeBron James became the first NBA player to score 40,000 points over the weekend, which is an insane number of points. I actually, and you guys probably know the answer to this. What is the longest longevity of an NBA player? Like, he's got to be up there for playing the longest, right? Not that saying that means anything against what he is, but I'm just trying to more say if people will be able to break it ever.
Let's see. I think he might be the longest. Let's see.
I think it's Vince Carter.
Yeah. It is
22 seasons.
Right. Yeah, 22.
Oh my God. That is so long. I guess he must have started, I'm assuming he probably started at 18 too. He didn't go to college, I would assume.
No.
19, I guess.
He did 2 years at UNC before he left.
Oh my God. He was like 20 when he came. That's crazy. So he was 42 when he retired.
Yeah. But he rode the bench.
And I can barely run a mile right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
He rode the bench those later years, but like LeBron's like the first to do it and like just stay a starter. Eventually he'll wind up on the bench, but like right now, like he's a starter. And like, we'll let Javon go first. Like this is amazing. Like, first player ever in the history of the NBA to drop 40K. And we know all the scorers, the ones that were around when we were kids, and the ones that were here before. So, Javon, what does this mean for him? Like, what's your reaction to this?
I think, like what y'all said, like, it's a testament to his longevity, right? Because, like we said, we've seen players play 20 years, Vince Carter 22, but what's the difference, right? Like you said, Carter eventually rode the bench, right? A guy that was just there. LeBron is still a very capable scorer, still giving 30 points a night, 25 and 25, 7 and whatever. Like, he's still playing at a high level. So to see him do this, I think it shows just how great of a player he is. Like a 101, a guy that we haven't seen, before. And it's crazy to think, like you said, like eventually he'll probably move to the bench. But can you even think that way, right? Because of just the way he's playing right now, like it would take a dramatic drop off. Like, he has to be scoring like 15 points a game. But I don't even know if he would even allow himself to get to that point.
But even 15 points a game is like not bad. But it's like people would still come and watch LeBron James score 15 points a game. So do you bench somebody that's still making money for your team, which is the interesting?
Yeah, that's
what I mean.
Like, a good point.
Yeah. That's a good point.
So, Kylan, do you think that anybody's ever going to break it?
Probably not. I mean, he's the first one to do it, and I'm honestly, like, obviously, I think the stat came out that he spends like millions of dollars, like what people make in a year. Like, some of these NBA players, he spends on his body. I think it's like close to $10 million this man spends on his body. So, like, he be in the lab literally to maintain himself this long, because he has the stated goal that he wants to play with his son before he retires. So he is very much invested in keeping the scoring going until Bronny gets to the NBA. And it could take a while. Like, and obviously no knock on Bronny. Obviously he's recovered from the heart thing that happened earlier this year. So like, we're not downing him in any way, but like, those of you who have seen the grades, and I don't even like the fact that they're grading this man post heart attack, like, but he's waiting on Bronny to come in so he can retire and play with him for like a year or two and then leave. But like but even that's like, he says that now, but we totally seen players hold on. So, you know, I think like he's kind of got like the Tom Brady syndrome. Like he can't see himself without basketball, I think. But I think that I don't think it'll ever be broken. I think that we'll have to see somebody like spend like 20 million on their bodies for them to beat this. So like I think like, obviously like with the way the scoring is right now, like Joel Embiid could probably break it, maybe Victor Wembanyama, but they would have to like stay healthy, and obviously they're taller than LeBron, so they have a couple of things working against them. But like I think like it'll never. I hate saying this because we said this about Will Chamberlain's record. But this is one of these things that I don't think will ever be broken because I don't think anybody's gonna last this long to score 40,000 points in a career.
Who's the closest right now? Is it Steph? Or one of those like crazy 3-point shooters? It's got to be, right?
Kevin Durant.
It's Kevin Durant. Yeah,
Oh,
I was about
KD?
to say it's KD. But even he's slowing down a little bit. But like, yeah, it's Kevin Durant. It's probably like Steph Curry. It's Kevin Durant. It's probably Steph Curry. Joel and them are coming up on 5 and 10,000. But again, these are people that have played 15, 20 years. Like most of the people we mentioned, like Giannis, I think, is in year 7. Joel Embiid is in like year 6 or 7 too. Like all of these players are in like single digit numbers, whereas, LeBron, KD, and Steph are in like year 15, year 18, year 19, year 20. Like, that's literally our childhood. And it gets to the next question, man. Like, who is the great? Oh, well, Morgan, you didn't get a chance to go, but you got anything to say on the 40K?
No, I think it's insanely impressive. Again, it's going to be, I wouldn't be shocked if it was broken. I think it's definitely going to be harder because, he'll generally have 2 more seasons or at least a season more than any of the other kids coming out just because they do go to college for at least one. Not that that's a huge deal, but the only way it's getting broken is by one of these like Steph Curry's that comes out and just is like dropping 7, 8, 9 threes a game. Or I mean, I could see someone like Caitlin Clark breaking it. Somebody in the WNBA because they play forever in the WNBA.
True.
I think they have less games, so that might be harder. But
yeah,
I think it's insanely impressive.
Yeah, but they have less games because they play overseas too, which some of them probably aren't doing anymore after what happened to Brittany Griner. So is he the greatest of all time in this era of basketball, or is there another? To me, it's him. We talked about the 3, right? It's him. Obviously, he dominated this era. Obviously, because he came in as the chosen one, the next after Kobe, and but it's him. He's the like clear number 1 GOAT of this era. Then 2, I'd probably put KD, and then Steph Curry, just because Steph Curry bloomed a little later. That's no knock on Steph. Steph is obviously, of the 3 of them, Steph is the better scorer. LeBron is probably the more. LeBron and KD can probably like go at it for who's the more complete player. But I think that it is LeBron's era, but KD, it's kind of like what you said a few weeks ago, right? Like LeBron has turned a lot of these people like from like major players into minor characters, but like those 3 stand apart. Like those are the 3 GOATs of this era, with LeBron being the clear GOAT of GOATs in the era. And obviously, Steph Curry has turned both of them into minor characters in his come up story. But it's LeBron's era. This mid 2000s, late 2000s basketball heading into 2030, which is crazy that we're back in the roaring 20s and 30s again. But we're this was LeBron's era.
I think it's really interesting. And again, this is probably because I mainly cover football and I see so many of these horrendous stories, but that all these people, I mean, there tend to be like good people on and off the court, if that makes sense. Like you don't hear a bad thing. It's like, again, LeBron, I can find him annoying on the court. I can find him a little bit of like, I'm always hurt, I'm this, I'm that. But like, there is not a bad thing you can say about that man as a father, as a husband, off the court. And same as Steph, like both of them have raised amazing families, have amazingly like great, strong wives. I know we don't see as much from LeBron's, but Steph's. We see her, cooking show, all that stuff. So I think there's something to be said that like you can do it the right way. Whereas, a lot of these, and not all the NFL players, but a lot of them, and even some basketball players, there's just stuff that they do. And you're just like, look at the GOATs. Like, look at how good they were as people on and off the court. And you can do it. And it helps bolster you because people care and people like you, which I think is really important.
I will say that like even though I think all three of us grew up in the time of Michael Jordan, I will say that like even though I love Michael Jordan the basketball player, Michael Jordan the person,
Yeah, no, exactly.
it's kind of like that. But yeah, I think that's what LeBron, Steph, and KD have Michael in. If nothing else, they have him in better. Like obviously he has become better than what he was when he was younger with the gambling. For those that don't know, because you probably only hear about Michael Jordan through the highlights and people like us, millennials, talking about how great he was and how y'all missed this era. But yeah, he was a great player. He gambled a lot, which is what a lot of sports people do. Cheated on his wife and did a lot of different things that like most people would probably not find morally correct. But he has moderated since he just turned 60, right? Just turned 60, but he is still the GOAT. But yeah, so that is the one thing that I think LeBron has on him. Is the like he's a better like could you bring LeBron home and like be happy with it? Yeah, it's probably like he does have that on MJ. I will give him that. And I know a lot of people hate that I said that, but it is an unverifiable fact that LeBron was a better seems to be, I should say. None of us know them, but seems to be a better person than Michael was at this time of his career. Javon, you got anything to add?
No, I think like you said, LeBron, like you said, this is his era, but like you said, the KDs, the Stephs are very huge footnotes in this era. Steph has denied LeBron a few rings. LeBron has denied Steph a ring. When they that 73 win team that everybody was ready to put up there, and as one of the greatest teams of all time in the NBA. But yeah, it's his era, and I don't think, like you said, we're not going to see no other player like him, and to get to 40,000 is going to be tough with just the way that the game's being played now, and everybody's getting better. The talent's getting better every year. It's not getting worse; it's getting better.
Yeah. And then for the last to wrap this one up, where does he rank in your personal top 10? Javon, you want to go first?
Personal top 10. Oh my gosh.
Or personal top 5, whatever.
I don't like. All right. Top. I'm gonna say I don't like this question. For me, I'm still going Jordan. I'm still going Kobe. I'm gonna go LeBron 3. 4 or 5 gets really interesting. I honestly, I know this might be hot takey. I think Steph somehow creeps up into that top 5. I think the way he's changed and kind of evolutionized the game from a 3-point shooting, from a 3-point shooting era to now all the kids are doing it. Every kid's now pulling from 30, 35 feet like it ain't nothing and making it. And what he's been able to do to create a dynasty in Golden State, with 4 rings now or something like that. I think 4. I think he's tied with LeBron for the most rings between them two. So I think he's up there, but for me, it goes Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron. But again, like it's such a good question because it can go either way. Like you can interchange all 3 guys because they all did different things on the court that made them so great.
Yeah. Morgan, you want to go, or do you have anything?
I think that my top 2 are Jordan and Kobe for sure. I have a soft spot for Kobe. I played minor league basketball and baseball, and I had zero interest in playing basketball. All my dad wanted to do was coach me in basketball. And I'll never forget, he was like, just sit down and like watch a game with me. And I was like, okay. Sat down and Kobe was playing, and I was like literally, oh my God, like again, like I would ever have actually been able to play like that. But I remember being like, oh my God, like that's unbelievable. So I loved him. I always, that was kind of just when he passed, it was like, I weirdly felt it like I knew him, which I feel like that was similar to a lot of people. They felt that. I think many circumstances led to that. And then I don't know. I'm a sucker for Steph. Like I love Steph. So I want to rank him above LeBron. I don't think that's relatively fair or right. So I think
And
LeBron would be 3 for me.
It's your
But,
personal
you know,
top 10. So no,
I know, but so,
you.
but like personally, like who I would want to turn the TV on and watch, and who I like seeing win rings would be Steph over LeBron. But I think as a physical attributing player, it's always going to be LeBron. And then it gets really weird. You have, like you said, you have all these players kind of stacked up, and they're all kind of all in this like tier together. It's like those 3 might even be in tiers of their own, 4, and then the rest are kind of all in this like MVP tier together, especially because they all do different stuff. Like it's hard to compare like Shaq and, you know, Steph. Like I don't know, they do different, they just did different stuff. They do different stuff. So, and the different eras make it hard. The 3-point wasn't a thing for a while, or not as big until like really until like the Splash Bros made it like really big. So
Okay.
there's my rant.
Okay, that's all good. I think for me, just because even between the 3 of us, we all represent different eras of the ball, right? Based on what year you were born in, right? So for me, I've got Jordan, I've got Kobe, I've got LeBron, I've got Hakeem, just because, you know, he's Hakeem. I've got Magic, I've got Bird, I've got Steph in there. I've got who else? You know what? My other 2, like, it's debatable for me, but like I gotta put my 2 personal favorites next to Kobe, my 2 personal favorite 2 guards in there. Why Oscar, and then I have to put D Wade. Why? Because like I don't think a lot of y'all remember that D Wade used to be a killer before them knee and leg injuries. Like my man came in, he was going to ascend. Like he was Marquette Dwayne Wade. Like the Marquette Dwayne Wade and the Miami Dwayne Wade were very similar players. Like the only knock on D Wade was he really didn't have the shot yet. But as he got older and more injured, he developed a shot. He was never like, you know, Steph Curry from the 3-point line. But he could kill you. Like most people don't remember, like Dwayne Wade was a killer. Like ask LeBron James, like ask Shaq. Like he'll tell you, like Dwayne Wade had that Kobe in him before a lot of these players. Like Dwayne always had that dog in him, man. So I love D Wade. I think that had he not gotten injured, had he like moderated his style, because y'all forget, like Dwayne Wade used to posterize people before the knee injury, bro. Like I like Dwayne Wade was a walking poster, so I think I round out my top 10 with him. And I know a lot of y'all gonna be mad because I got Dwayne Wade higher than a lot of y'all, but he is one of the top ranked shooting guards. If you look at it, he's one of the top 3 in blocks. He's a top 10 in scoring. Like you can ask, he worked out with Kobe's trainer. Kobe said that no one worked like Dwayne Wade's trainer, who also was Kobe and Michael Jordan's trainer, said you know, other than Jordan and Kobe, no one worked harder than D Wade on trying to like be better. So like y'all need to go look up some D Wade tape. But that's my top 10 right there. I know some of y'all gonna be mad at it. So at Kylan W. Watson, if you want to come for me. Because I didn't have your favorites in there. We didn't even talk about Patrick Ewing. So like, you know, like I Wilt, like, oh, they're gonna be mad at me for that. Wilt's in there too. He's tied with Shaq and Hakeem. So Wilt's in the top 10 too. Nobody mad at me. But yeah, like Javon, are you dipping?
Yep.
Yeah. So we want to thank Javon for being here.
Thank you so much.
Gotta get him
No
on
problem.
for the show. Some of these points when the schedules work out. But as always, we love having you here, dog. As always an open invite.
Hey, appreciate it. Y'all do a great job with the show. I'm always tapping in, you know, every week. So you can keep on doing what y'all doing.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
All right, y'all have a good one.
All right, you too, man. Have a good weekend. All right, so Jason Kelsey. A sad part of my week.
It really is so devastating. Like, I don't know. He's just such a his speech, I was crying. I'm gonna let you start with this though. You deserve to start with this one.
Oh man, so Jason Kelsey, man, one of the best centers that the Eagles have ever had. You know, when they drafted him as a 6th round pick, I will be completely honest. I personally stopped tuning in to the NFL draft after like the 2nd round, just because like after that it gets kind of negligible. So I never have watched the draft all the way through, just because I find them tedious because there's like 8 rounds. But one of the greatest 6th round pick in Eagles history, man. Like a dude who came out
Easily.
of a dude that came out of Cincinnati that no one really had any faith would like be anything. Like maybe would just be like a backup, turned into a starter, like one of the smartest centers ever. Like, personally, outside like Joel Embiid and Donovan McNabb, Allen Iverson, like one of my like favorite sports players, even though I'd never met him before. I was there for his Mummers speech in the Mummers costume for the Super Bowl, like tore the whole Super Bowl party up, man. Like I am such a fan of this man. And I would love to have him on this podcast one day. Would love to have him on this podcast.
Dreams.
Yeah, would love to have you, Jason. I don't know, maybe we connect. I am still in Philly, so like maybe we can connect, get the Philly stuff. I would love to have him and or Travis on this podcast as well. Both of them, like, and Kylie. Like, bring the whole family. But Jason Kelsey is
They're
one
both
of the
really
greatest
nice guys.
Eagles I have.
I've gotten to meet both of them, and
Yeah, like I
his speech
really
was
enjoy.
beautiful.
Yeah, and I really enjoy him. Sad to see him go. Sad that he went out like that against the Buccaneers. But he is going to be a lot more on Jalen Hurts now, because Jason Kelsey was one of the greatest centers ever. Man, he pointed out where the blitzes were coming from and everything, and he's gonna make it a lot harder to replace. But I just think that he's on this week, man, one of the greatest centers ever. And I'm so sad to see him go, but I know he'll be around and always bring a smile to people in this area. So one of the greatest ever to ever do it. And like I said, very sad to see him go, but we kind of expected it. I would love to get the outsider's perspective. So tell me what's going on in these national streets when it comes to Kelsey.
So something that I thought was really interesting, and I wish. Do you hear me? Sorry, I bumped out on my end. They said that Jason Kelsey didn't just write a retirement speech; he wrote a love letter to Philadelphia. Oh my God, I'm literally tearing up thinking about it. To his wife, to his family, and I thought it was beautiful. I cried watching it. I cried watching Travis and Kylie tear up. Mama Kelsey was there. It was just beautiful. It was everything down to the wearing of a t-shirt and nothing else, down to that for Travis or for Jason, that made it special. And I don't know if you saw this story. So it came out that, have you heard about the Eagles trainer who has cancer?
Yes, I did hear about this.
Did you see this story that he and Travis have become really good friends, and he was really upset that he wouldn't have been able to tape up Travis for his last game? And Travis said, "Don't even worry. Come tape me up for
the retirement,
tape me up for my press conference." Which is just like, God, who else does stuff like that? Like, that's so cool. So I don't know. I thought it was amazing. The NFL is not going to be the same without him. They're going to be missed, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good time. Like, you don't really see people with personality. Like, it's been a while since we've had like a personable offensive lineman, and he was like one of the most personable ones out there. And so I can't wait to see what happens, what he does, more than likely in TV. I am so excited to see what his next journey will be. So now we head to your favorite time of the year and what's going to keep you up at night. What team or teams will make big moves during the NFL offseason? So I will start. It has to be my Eagles. Now they have to replace a center. I was
gonna say they have to do it.
Yeah, they have Cam Jurgens, so he'll probably move to center, but they're gonna need to draft another guard. They're gonna need to get a right tackle to replace Lane Johnson. Now, don't get me wrong, Eagles fans. I have been on record saying this. Morgan has seen me text about it, that they need to get a replacement for Lane. Not because I'm trying to end his career, just because, like, Lane Johnson's getting up there, and injuries happen, and he is a big part of protecting Jalen Hurts, and so they need to take care of Jalen Hurts' blind side. So they need to get a right tackle. It has been okay because they've been able to find or sign a free agent who can do the job, but at this point, you need to start investing in getting that done right. Got to invest in the safeties and slot corners now that Avonte Maddox is gone. I think L'Jarius Sneed would be good for that. This is the second time I mentioned him, so hint, it's Howie's season, so let's make that happen. But I also think that there is somebody very, very close to Morgan who I would love to have on this team. 25-year-old Xavier McKinney. I think that the Eagles should go get him, especially now that the Giants are all but letting him go. And there are a couple of safeties. The Broncos let some go. Tre'Davious White is on the thing. I think the Eagles will make big moves. I also think the Bears, man, the Bears, like all the investments they're doing in the defense. I like to see those investments in a wide receiver for Justin Fields and or Caleb Williams. We talked about the Bears last week. I think the Bears would be better off letting Caleb Williams go and getting Marvin Harrison Jr. But apparently the sensible thing is not what they're going to do. But
I agreed with that until I met the kid. He's a franchise quarterback. He is a face of an organization, and I don't know how much difference that will do for them, but I do know that I was impressed by him at the combine. Way more impressed than I thought I was going to be. Not, just from how he handles himself with the media.
Oh, Caleb?
Yeah.
Yeah, I still think Marvin Harrison's the best player in this draft, even though Caleb's a close second to me. But I think it doesn't matter if you have a franchise quarterback, if other than the dude that you traded the Panthers for, you have no one for him to throw it to. I think you need to get Marvin Harrison.
That's also very, very, very fair.
Junior. I think they're making the same mistake that they did when they brought Justin Fields in. You could have a quarterback, but if you don't have an offensive line and you don't have a receivers for him to throw it to, you're doing to him what the Falcons did to Desmond Ridder. Like what are we doing here? Like so that's my opinion. Eagles and Bears and also the Steelers. You? You there?
Yeah, I don't know why it keeps refreshing.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so Eagles, Steelers, and Bears for me. What are your teams or team?
Honestly, I think the Commanders. I think they've kind of already started it. I think that they are
Zach
committed
to in there.
I was going to ask you, how do you feel about him? Because there was rumors that he was going to come back to the Eagles, right? Or did he sign with the Eagles at the end of last year? I can't remember. It went back and forth.
He wanted to, but he wound up signing, I think, with the Ravens, and they didn't use him. So, it was one of those things. But I think it's good for him. Obviously, with Dallas Goedert here, and with them probably drafting another tight end, it probably didn't make sense. I hope he does well with your hometown Commanders, but I will not take pleasure in one of my favorite tight ends being a Commander and me actually having to root against him. So I admire what the Commanders are doing. They need some offensive weapons, so they need some help over there. So I'm in total agreement with you there on that team. Don't like that they got Zach Ertz. As a fan, I don't like it. As a reporter, I think it's good for them because they need that reliable weapon for whoever their quarterback will be.
Yeah, I agree. The Steelers have looked like they're trying to do a lot of stuff. They're talking to a lot of people. I think that kind of like honestly what we talked about before is that they are so close. They really are a few pieces away. And I feel like you can say that about a lot of teams, but I really feel like they're close enough that they don't have like all that much left that they need to do. They obviously need a quarterback, which is a huge deal. But those are the big ones that I see doing like a lot of stuff in the off season. Obviously the Giants, like, they have to do some stuff. I don't know what they're gonna do if they don't. Like, I don't know. The ones that's kind of surprising me that they haven't started doing a ton is the Patriots. And maybe they have free agency plans or they're waiting to see where other people go. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Questioning with that. Do you think they keep Mac?
I think they'll keep Mac Jones if they don't get the quarterback that they want during the draft. I think a lot of this is draft dependent and then what they're going to do in the draft. I think Mac Jones needs to change the scenery very, very fast. I think your hometown, the Commanders, would be good for him. I even think the Giants would be good. I even think the
I
Giants
actually do too. I think that he I don't know. I just feel like he and Bill didn't really get along. And then, of course, like being, I don't know, it was such a hard situation for Mac to go into that I don't really blame him for how things like turned out there. But yeah, I don't know. He's an interesting one too. But those are the big ones that I see making like big waves.
Okay. And then we have to get to this. Jalen Johnson, we were wondering about a month or two ago, would they keep him? Both Morgan and I were plotting, or if we weren't, our team should have been plotting on getting this man. But he wound up staying in Chicago. Jalen Johnson, 4-year, $76 million extension. And go get your money, man. He had the Bears by the balls, and they had to pay him because there aren't that many good shutdown corners in this year's draft. And so good for him, good for the Bears. It seems like if they're doing nothing else, they're paying defenders. So Montez Sweat, Jalen Johnson, like I think they just paid their middle linebacker as well. So like they're investing in defense, but of course, like I said, they need to start investing in a wide receiver and some offensive linemen. So get a move on, but congrats to Johnson, get your money.
I agree. I completely agree. I think it's a huge re-sign for the Bears. I think that it's again, the Bears are committed. They're trying to do something. And I again, they're another one of those
I think you froze again.
I don't know if it's me. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I think it's you.
The Bears are, I think, even closer than the Steelers. They have the receivers are awesome. Their line is going to be pretty good next year. So I think that, this is a great re-sign for them. It's another thing that they don't have to go out and worry about, I guess, is the big thing.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So Morgan was not here for this, so we're going to let her go in on court storming and why it should stay or not. Go ahead, Morgan.
God, I go back and forth with it. So I don't know if you watched a game. It was the UConn game. So the reason I know that because I was there. So their senior night. So as soon as the game was about to be over, they had ropes that went and like ran around the bench so that nobody, if there was, I don't know why anybody would court storm a 30-point win against Villanova. Like, stupid. No one's going to do that. But the big thing was that they were worried about a court storm. And I think that court storming is not a bad thing in general. I think there needs to be more regulation and a little bit maybe more like rules on like how it happens. But in total, like fans being excited and storming the court, I don't think is the problem. I think that, they have to handle it better for sure. And I think that there are different ways that you can handle it and you can find beauty in it. But like, I don't know. Also, like, we don't need to storm the court every game, but if you have never won against a ranked opponent before and you win, whatever, like, I think that's exciting. And I think that you should be able to storm the court. And that's kind of, I think that, what kind of sucks about it is that both of the things that have been big injuries weren't even injuries at all. So I don't know if that necessarily hurts or helps their case because, they, it definitely doesn't help that both of the ones that were supposed to be these like injuries, they both came back and they were like,
Yeah,
ended up
was
they both
nothing.
were completely fine. And yes, they could have been hurt. It could have been a bigger problem, but I don't know. I like court storming. Dan, my fiance, feels very differently about it. He hates all court storming. He thinks it's dumb. Nobody should ever do it. I think that's coming from a lifelong UConn fan. He said, "We never stormed the court." And I was like, okay, well,
But
maybe
man,
that's
as,
true. But what do you
as
have?
somebody,
So I wasn't here. What were your thoughts on it?
I think it should stay, man. I think that they should have security, obviously escort the away team off. I think the Filipkowski thing was a little bit different because in every angle I saw, every other Dookie was off the floor, and he
Yeah, like,
wasn't.
what
So I
was
just
he
think,
still doing out there? Like,
yeah, I don't know. I think like I said last week, he was accessing his inner. Every white Duke player has an inner Grayson Allen, and he clearly accessed his inner Grayson Allen because, like, I don't know if you saw the angle, but you clearly see that he puts his leg out and trips the kid. They're all obviously these are all young adults, 18 and up. Maybe the youngest being 17, but obviously all of these kids are. I hate even calling them kids because I hated that when I was 18 and people still called me a kid. So all these young adults, they're all young consenting adults. You know, and I just think it's a bunch of old timers. I think that, like, you should be able to court storm. As somebody who just watched their alma mater a few weeks ago beat UNC and then court storm, and no UNC player complained about it. Like, I just think this is Duke players being Duke players. Obviously, like, it looked
you're
bad.
the better
They kind
team,
of,
then win so they
yeah,
don't court storm you if that's what you
yeah, like,
want. Like,
I understand that, like, you as somebody who went to a blue blood school and, like, is a fan of another blue blood school in Villanova and then Syracuse, but, like, I just think either win the game or, like I said last week, during the last 10 seconds, do what the NBA does, like, get your players off the court, like, when they're dribbling the clock out, because they do the same thing in college basketball that they do in the NBA. Dribble the clock out, no one's trying to score. He shouldn't have been on the court anyway. They probably should have subbed him out. Like, so,
that they
like,
won't remember the final score, but that was like a blowout, wasn't it?
yeah, like, they got Wake Forest destroyed them. So, like, I didn't even
There
understand,
was no
like,
chance of them winning. Yeah,
yeah,
that's when you
yeah,
put your bench players in.
yeah. Yeah, so, like,
I don't know.
I am of the mindset that court storming should stay, but we are both cognizant of the fact that this is a generational thing, that the older sports broadcasters in our industry, they're tired of it because they feel like they've glorified it. But, like, like, the ultimate glory of this was, like, it was more the band, but, like, the band is on the field, but Morgan and I weren't alive for that one. So, like, but like, I think that, like, they pay the money, they pay the tuition as former tuition paying students too, like, more recently than most of the people who are commenting on this, both of us. Like, I think that if you pay the cost, as our parents used to say, and still say, you pay the cost to be the boss. So, like, these students pay the tuition that funds these schools, so they should be able to court storm. And as long as they're respectful and there's no fights, like, as we've seen, like, most of the drama in college basketball this year has not been the people court storming. It's been the players punching each other in handshake lines and doing other stuff. So, like, it's been the students, but it hasn't been the regular students. It's been the college athletes. So, like, I
Yep.
just feel like, obviously with Caitlin Clark, she wasn't expecting it, but from the angles that I've seen of it, it looked like Filipkowski used his inner Grayson Allen to trip the boy and try to, like, make it a bigger deal than it was. So, but that just means, obviously, he shouldn't have been hurt. Hopefully he is okay. It seems to be he is okay. Morgan, I think you froze
And
again.
I would,
Go ahead.
I would even disagree. Like the Caitlin Clark one, when you rewatch the angles, like I don't necessarily see fault there either. Like, same kind of deal. Like, walk off the court a little faster. You're a D1 athlete. If you're worried about that, you, like, as a D1 athlete, you didn't see that girl. That girl definitely did not see Caitlin.
Right.
For sure. Like, that was, I can guarantee that. Now, did Caitlin see the girl? I don't know. I think that's like, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think that these college athletes sometimes feel like they don't have to take any responsibility for stuff. And, like, you're, win the game or the court's going to get stormed. And that should be kind of how it is.
Yeah, or if you're a coach, you already know what it is. You ain't got no chance. They dribbling the clock out. Tell Caitlin, hey, foul him so we can get you out the game and get you off the
Yeah.
put the walk-ons on. You know, they're not called bench warmers in college sports. Put the walk-ons on, and you know, then let them walk off because no one's gonna. Everybody loves walk-ons, so so like,
Yeah, I
like
mean,
keep it. Yeah. Speaking of Caitlin. Congrats to Caitlin Clark on this International Women's Day. She broke Pistol Pete's record. We all knew it was coming. She did it last Sunday. What a game, man. She had Travis Scott out there. Maya Moore came out. Maya Moore doesn't come out for much anymore. I did not mean to make that rhyme, but Maya Moore doesn't come out for much anymore. So, like, Maya Moore was
that
out
was
there.
pretty cool. When she started crying, I mean, that was pretty cool.
I was about to say, I don't know if you saw the video, but I was tearing up, and I didn't even watch it live. I was like, oh my God, it's Maya Moore. I was ready to do that. I love Maya Moore. So, like, like I said, Maya Moore, I don't even think you can get her to come out for UConn games anymore. So, like, Maya coming out to Iowa to see somebody who she inspired was very big. Like I said, they had Travis Scott at that game. Now, he might not have known what was going on, but they had Travis Scott at that game. It was a big game. One of the biggest games in Iowa history, man. I think Iowa was about as black as Aurora, Colorado was during the Colorado Buffalo game. So like it was great, man. It was a great time. Congrats to Caitlin Clark. I think that she will be a great scorer. She is one of the best scorers in college basketball. To answer this next question as well, to combine them a little bit. I think it's great for her. I think she will be ready for the WNBA. I think everybody has that adjustment period. We've seen it with Maya Moore, Breanna Stewart, Aaliyah Boston. Like, what a duo that's going to be if it goes the way we think it's going to go. The Indiana Fever having Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark.
Boyfriend. Did you know that her boyfriend is on the coaching staff for
them? Caitlin Clark or Aaliyah Boston?
Kalia. Yeah, he played at Iowa, but yeah, isn't that funny? I found that out at the combine.
Oh, Caitlin Clark has a boyfriend? I had no idea. See.
Yeah, he was a player at Iowa.
Okay. Well, see guys, it is
this is why
possible.
You need me here,
It is possible to be a famous basketball player and live a quiet life because I had no idea she had a boyfriend. See, I thought she was single. So there you go. So you can do it.
Colin's like, damn it! I thought I had a chance. Let me see. He was pretty big at Connor McCaffrey.
Oh, is he related to Christian? It'd be funny if he was because you don't see that name too much. But anyway, that's neither here or there. Good for them. Good for them.
His dad is he's the son of Fran McCaffrey, who worked as the men's basketball head coach at the University of Iowa since 2010.
Yep. Yeah, I know that name. Yep. Cool. So what's your
cool.
Thoughts what's your thoughts on it?
I think she's going to be great. I think that it's smart of her to get out now so that she's not in the same class as Paige.
It definitely is. We still root for that matchup, by the way. The Paige Beckers, Caitlin Clark final two. Still rooting for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's smart for her to get out now, not in the same draft class as Paige. They'll both go one. She's gonna be great. I think she's gonna be fun. I think I'm assuming the Fever are gonna take her, and that will just boost them so much. Not even on the court, but off the court. You see you just see how many fans come to see her. It's like the ticket price is the highest that it's ever been. This, that, and the other. It's pretty cool. And I'm excited for the WNBA. I'm excited for her. I think that it's the right move to leave. I know that she's made a lot of money, and that's obviously like not what it's about, but also like you have to remember that like these kids' dreams are also to play professional sports. So them wanting to go out there and play a professional sport is not like a diss on the university or whatever. She did her 4 years. I'm sure she wants to go out there and win a championship this year. I wish them the best of luck until they play UConn. And then I hope they get their butts kicked. But
Not biased at all there, huh?
no, that was no bias. That was just straight being realistic. Just kidding. But no, she's great. And again, she's done amazing things for women's sports, and I don't think that you can say a bad word about that. And I think she's going to do great things in the WNBA, sell out arenas. She's going to be the Steph of WNBA, where the LeBron, where people go to see her. No matter, there are probably better players that have come out of out of college before, but nothing that has had this kind of nothing like this, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Yeah, I think she's gonna be the person that kind of like we do for Michael Jordan and Kobe, and we'll do for LeBron. Like, we're gonna tell our kids, you don't know nothing about the era that had Breanna Stewart, Diana Taurasi, Caitlin Clark, Maya Moore. Y'all talking about these aren't the women's basketball players of our time. So she's gonna be the person that y'all are gonna be talking about. I kind of wish Philly had a WNBA team, but unfortunately we do not yet. So, but I hope to be able to see her. I guess I'll have to go to New York to see her. I guess go to the Liberty, go to Barclays and see her. I guess, but I'm hoping Philly gets a team, so I don't have to do all that work to see her. so yeah. So let's go with March Madness coming up. We're gonna start giving y'all some help in your brackets. So for me, I think obviously the women's tournaments, for those of you that don't know, are going on right now, the conference tournaments. So I think the teams to look out for on that end. Actually both of these are very close to me. I think y'all need to look out for Syracuse, the Syracuse women. I've talked about this team before. The Syracuse women, Daisha Fair, flying under the radar in comparison because Caitlin Clark is taking up all the scoring oxygen, but scoring 3,000 points is almost to 4,000. Felicia McGarrett-Jack just won ACC Coach of the Year. I think that they are one of the top two teams in the ACC, and they will show it. I think they will be at least a 2 or 3 seed in the tournament. And I think that with the way she coaches and the talent that they have, they can definitely make noise and ruin a lot of y'all's brackets. And they'll probably then lose to South Carolina, Iowa, or UConn. But I think that I would not be surprised if at the end of this year, we're seeing the Syracuse women in the Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final 4. I would not be surprised because Coach Jack can coach them up. As far as the men, I'm gonna say Syracuse men, and I also texted Morgan about Villanova. Now, ever since then, Villanova has lost, so I do look a little stupid for texting her last week about that. But I think that Syracuse can make a run.
They don't lose when I'm in attendance. Well. They don't lose when I'm there, darling. When I'm there, they show out.
But I think Syracuse will make noise on the men's side as well. They obviously have to win a few games in the ACC tournament. But I think that they can do that. And I think that Nova has to win. They don't have to win the tournament. They got to at least go far in the Big East tournament. A team that I think UConn needs to look out for is Houston. I've said this, and Arizona. I watched Arizona last night kill UCLA. I think Arizona has what it takes. There aren't too many teams with the size to compete with UConn. Arizona is one of those teams because they have a bunch of guys that are 7 feet and can compete with Klingon and all them other people. So I think that they might not have the guard play that UConn has, but they have Caleb Love.
I don't think anyone in the country has the guard play that UConn has.
Well, there is a guy on Arizona's team whose name is Kylan, and I think that y'all need to look out for him. And I'm not just saying that because he spells his name the same way I do. He drops 12 points a night. He's a defensive wing, so I think y'all need to look out for him. But those are my teams. What about you?
UConn, obviously. I think that they're hard to beat. They can win in a lot of ways, but Tennessee is a dark horse. I think that they are playing some really good basketball right now. Dan talks about them all the time. He's like, they're going to be a problem. They're going to be a problem. It's hard to say. Marquette, we just played them 2 nights ago, but they're missing their star player, so it's hard to see what they're going to do.
Tech, either Klatek, however he pronounces his name.
Yeah, I can never pronounce it. the kid who everybody says they can't read. Did you see that whole story? Like
No, I did
they
not.
posted everybody's GPAs or something on every single
Oh.
person on the team besides his, and they're like, "Can he even read?" Or it's stupid. But
Oh, college
yeah,
trash talk is great.
it's so dumb. But I don't believe in Purdue. I just never. I feel like they find a way to royally collapse. Edie finally had his senior night, his final senior night. Like he's gone, I believe. Same at North Carolina. Baycock's going to be gone after this year. So these players that we've kind of have become staples of college basketball are going to be moving on. So I think a lot of these teams want to make that long run.
Okay. All right. So stay tuned for more of that in these next few weeks as we shift our focus back to we're always going to be on basketball as long as I'm a part of this podcast. But if we shift back to and forth, we will definitely help you guys out and make sure that your bracket doesn't get ruined. It's going to get ruined by an Ivy League team. So just expect a Princeton or somebody. So Morgan covers that. So she'll definitely have the inside scoop on whatever.
Harvard looks good this year, man. I've covered them twice. I've done 2 games of theirs, and they look good. I have to say, they got some big time scorers on there. So I know Dartmouth just beat them, but I'm excited to see how they do.
Okay.
If they make the tournament, which I hope they will.
All right. So Karl-Anthony Towns, unfortunately, another big man going down to a meniscus tear. Man. I did not watch this live, but I saw some of the video and it looked kind of gnarly. Yeah, I bet y'all didn't think that the word would make a comeback in 2024. It's a shame, man. As somebody, Joel Embiid is recovering from a similar thing. But I believe they say he should be back by the first round of the Western Conference playoffs. The Timberwolves are fighting for a number 1 seed, along with the Clippers and the Thunder. So I think that that we're gonna really find out about Anthony Edwards because now all the scoring will be on him, and he's got to keep them at least in the top two spot ahead of Denver and ahead of the Clippers, so that they can have home court advantage. Like you need. And in the NBA, it really doesn't matter, but a team like Minnesota, because of how young they are, they probably need to like the home court advantage. So I think that Anthony Edwards is about to be really important for them. But yeah, it's unfortunate that this has happened to Karl-Anthony Towns, who seems to have been building as a player, has definitely improved. It's very unfortunate.
How big of an impact is this going to be? Is this going to be like absolutely no chance to win to make a tear or to make a run, or are they even not there? Like, I just don't know. You follow them a little bit more than I do.
I think this is a big injury for them. Obviously, like Karl-Anthony Towns scores about 25, 26 points a night. And like Anthony Edwards drops like 30. So that's a good portion of the scoring right there, like 30 and 26. That means like, Anthony Edwards has to like up his scoring a little bit now. Obviously, when you have Karl-Anthony Towns on the court, people don't pay as much attention to Anthony Edwards. It's going to be the same thing that's happening with Tyrese Maxey right now, right? Like, it's one thing to like, you are the star, but you have another star who takes most of the attention because he's the more established star. And now it's just on you. So we'll see about Anthony Edwards. I think he is like one of the young up and coming faces of the NBA. But it's one thing to have that happen and now just be the number 1 focus. The coaches are like, we're looking to you to score more and 35 a night. Like, we'll see. But I still think the Timberwolves should be able to still maintain a top 2 seed and be in prime position if Karl-Anthony Towns does return. But it's a meniscus thing, and we've seen with knee things, especially with basketball players, they take time to heal. So I would not be surprised if it takes him a little while before he comes back.
Cool. Well, not cool. Sucks for him. Yeah. Sucks for them. You hate when you see somebody get hurt. It's I have to say, I feel like they're. Yeah, I'm not even going to say it. It's going to jinx it. And I feel like there's been less injuries this year in the NBA. Less like at least big ones. But am I wrong about that?
No, there have been less injuries just because of the way they're playing and like a lot of players don't play in the third quarter unless they need to. Don't play in the fourth quarter unless they need to. So it's been a little bit better strategy lately, but we'll see.
Okay.
We're into the last few times before our favorite segment, but we're gonna skip some things. But can anyone stop the Boston Celtics from winning the chip this year? Now we just saw this last night. The Denver Nuggets and Boston Celtics had a finals preview. The Nuggets came out on top because, like I said before on this podcast, strong bodies but mentally weak up top. That's the Boston Celtics. Like they are when the pressure gets time. When it's time to get a basket and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown don't have it, like what happened last night, you will not see like Kristaps Porzingis. Knicks fans already know this. Kristaps Porzingis, great player, not ready for prime time. Can't handle the pressure. Drew Holiday is like the most established veteran on that team. He's won a ring, but he hit his shots obviously, but he was carried there by Chris Middleton and Giannis Antetokounmpo. And, you know, I like that boy Drew, but I said this last week, like the Celtics are always going to have this problem that when the pressure gets on and Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, who are going to take most of the defensive of attention, when it comes playoff time and teams decide, and we're not going to let Jaylen and Jason beat us, like Kristaps and Drew are going to have to beat us. Derek White's going to have to beat us. I don't think they have enough. I don't think they have that bucket getter on their team. I think it showed last night. And obviously the Nuggets aren't defensive juggernauts, right? Like, you know, they don't have the bench anymore. I just think that the Celtics can be stopped by the Sixers and themselves. So one of those two things is going to get them. Last year it was the Sixers and the Heat, the combination of a 7-game slugfest with the Sixers and the Miami Heat just being the Miami Heat. So I think if I'm the Celtics, I'm doing everything I can to hope that I don't have to see that of the teams that I want to see in the second round, I probably want to see the Bucks more than I want to see the Philadelphia 76ers with a healthy Joel Embiid. And I'm not just saying that because I'm biased, but I've got the journalist hat on right now. But also just because like I don't think they can contend with a rejuvenated Joel Embiid, up close and personal Tyrese Maxey. Like I just don't think that's gonna happen. But I think ultimately, like it's mental with the Celtics. They have to not beat themselves, and they can't do it when the pressure's on. What you think?
Yeah, I like what you said about the only thing that they can do is one of the bigger things that they can do is beat themselves. I feel like that's what we've seen from some of the losses this year, right? Is that, you know, it's it's not the teams beating them. It's that they make these stupid mistakes. They get in foul trouble, this, that, and the other. I watched part of the game did they play the Timberwolves a few nights ago?
Yeah, they lost that game. That was like 2 days ago.
Yeah, they lost that game. I watched part of it, and what impressed me was the intensity that, you know, they were, you know what I mean? Like, it was just a continual, like, intense notion. Some of their shots weren't dropping, and I don't know if that contributed to the loss, but I don't know. I think it's going to be good. It's going to be good. When do their playoffs actually start?
Mid-April.
Okay.
So in less than a month. All right. So next to last question before we get there. Tyrese Maxey is now the odds-on favorite to win Most Improved Player. Can he be the new face of the NBA in a few years? Yeah, why not? He's got that infectious personality. He is a great player. Like, he is a walking highlight reel who doesn't dunk, but he'll take your ankles. I love it. So, you know, I admittedly, even though I have the journalist hat on, I love covering Tyrese Maxey. Like, I love watching those games. Unfortunately, he's dealing with concussion-like symptoms. Speedy recovery, Tyrese Maxey. First-time All-Star, one of many more. I think he is the future face of the Philadelphia 76ers and the future face of the NBA. I think that he's only 23 years old, like literally just turned 23 like 2 months ago, Like, so I think that the NBA is in great hands. He's in the fourth largest market, and he's basically conquered this market. Like in a market with Jalen Hurts in it, Jason Kelsey, Joel Embiid, Bryce Harper, like in the fourth or fifth largest media market. This man is out here just conquering it, like, and quietly too. Like, and I just think that he's next up. Like, once Joel Embiid retires or wins a ring first, like, and that the Sixers are in really good hands with him. Like, and obviously he's going to get the bag. I believe he is at about, like, I think it's 550 to win, so he's the odds-on favorite to win MIP. And I just think it couldn't have happened to a greater player if he does win it. And yeah, he's a future face of the NBA. I think LeBron said it. I think the Sixers lucked out and have two of the best, well, a current face of the NBA in Joel Embiid, but a future face as well.
Yeah,
and just to, go ahead.
No, but I think were we talking about this last week, or they were like, who was going to be the face of the NBA when,
like 2 weeks ago,
like
before you
2 weeks ago,
before you went to the NBA.
I think that this is a really good choice, or a good prediction for who could be the face of the NBA. Rock star on the court, a great personality off the court, fun to watch, plays a fun style of basketball, and all of that starts with winning an award. It doesn't have to be MVP, but most improved player is also a huge aspiration for some of these guys, because that means that people are recognizing their level of talent and their level of dedication, I guess, and work to bring them up to where they are. So I think this would be a great choice for that, because I know we were trying to think, and we couldn't name. I don't even know if Tyrese was in that mix when we were talking about it. But I think
he was. I think I brought him up.
He was. You brought him up.
Yeah.
I think this would be a rock star one. I enjoy watching him. I think, again, he's fun. He's a funky guy. He's a little quirky, which I like. But yeah, I think this would be great.
Yeah, I think it's really good. And then to wrap this up before we get to he's not him, she's not her, they aren't them, I'll be real quick with this. The Sixers have been up and down. Obviously, they beat the Hornets and the Mavs. Hornets on for last Friday night, Mavs on Sunday, and then have fallen to Morgan's Nets and Grizzlies. But I just think that this is what happens when you're down Joel Embiid, who's recovering and should be ramping up in the next few days. And should be back by the end of this month or early April. And you're missing Tyrese Maxey due to a concussion because he collided with somebody's knee on Sunday. So, will they be able to stay out of the play-in tournament? Again, for the Sixers, it is all about that 4, 5, or 6 seed. That's what you want. Now, what happened last night was very good for them. The Heat lost and the Celtics lost. So the Heat, for purposes of, because they're like ahead of them. So all the Sixers have to do tonight is a tall task. Beat the Pelicans, beat Zion Williamson and them without Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. It's a tall task. I fully expect them to give it their all.
Oh, that's all they have to do. That's it.
Yeah, and probably lose, but keep the main thing. I think that as long as they can get like either the 6, the 5, or the 4 seed, I think they can stay out of the play-in tournament. Their schedule eases up after they play the Pelicans and the Knicks these next 3 days. So I think that they'll be able to avoid the play-in tournament and stay in that 4, 5, 6 range. Like I said, for the Sixers, it's all about not seeing the Celtics until the ECF. So, with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey incoming, I think that they'll be all right and they'll be able to maintain. Like they're at 6-9, which is funny. I didn't even know this. They're 6-9 since Joel Embiid went down, which is way better than I thought they would be. So, and that's a testament to Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris. So, and Kelly Oubre. It's all about team. They have to score more. Kelly Oubre Jr. has to score more. Tobias Harris, this is your time to get your money for next season. So you gotta up that scoring, man. I need the Tobias Harris from not even like 2 games ago. The Tobias Harris that lit up Dallas on Sunday, like the Tobias Harris that had the shot working. That's what the Sixers need. So Tobias Harris has to up his game, but I think they can avoid the play-in tournament. All right. You got anything to add to that? What
I
you
do
think?
not.
All
I'm
right.
good.
He's not him, she's not her, and they aren't them. Y'all favorite.
Woo!
Let's go. So you want to go or should I?
You got it.
Okay, I'll start. So, I'm ready to go when I start like that. Gilbert Arenas, I need you to the floor. He's not him.
Oh
He's not him. Oh man. So Gilbert, like
no!
your
I haven't heard that
podcast,
name in so long.
yes, your podcast is good. I don't really watch it because I think it's in that vein of like, the barbershop thing that LeBron James does, which is great. But sometimes he gets himself into trouble, and he got himself into trouble um last week and a couple weeks ago. Like we all know, Morgan was a fan of him growing up. Like we all know that one thing Gilbert Arenas will do is he will shoot that mouth off in more ways than one. And sometimes it gets him into trouble. And so Morgan, I don't know if you've seen this video, but
No, I
he
haven't.
came out and talked about the Europeanization of the NBA. And like, the Nikola Jokic's, the Luka Doncic's of the world, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, obviously the European players. Joel Embiid is not from Europe, but he was talking about how like they made the game softer to make the European players more comfortable, and like we're seeing it. That's essentially what he said. A lot of people called him out for the xenophobia.
Interesting.
You kind of talked about this a few weeks ago when you talked about like when you asked me as a b-ball head, can I get behind somebody who's not American as a face of basketball? I think like as somebody who's a fan of somebody who's the face of basketball right now, that's not from America, Joel Embiid. I think that I was kind of xenophobic. I didn't like it coming from Gilbert Arenas, especially somebody who was a star, not ever the face of basketball, more because of his own issues, namely bringing a gun into the locker room, and other things that he did that I don't know about, that you probably know about because you were a fan of his in DC. Like I just think that Gilbert, some things are better left unsaid. I know a lot of people are worried about like, oh my goodness, there aren't really that many American basketball players, even though Team USA is going to have Joel Embiid, Steph Curry, LeBron James, Kevin Durant on it this year in the Olympics. So many people are worried. Like there aren't a lot of good American players. It's just that obviously Luka Doncic, Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Joker take a lot of oxygen because they are the faces of the league, because they are in. Well, Joel Embiid is in the biggest market of those players that I mentioned, with Luka Doncic a close second being in Dallas. But like Jalen Brunson is in New York. Like there are a lot of good players that are Americans. It's just that they're not dominating because they don't score that much as these other players. So I don't think it's because they've made the rules softer. The NBA is looking at bringing back some defensive adjustments to make defense a little better for next season. But I like it. I like the fact that people score. I think it's just like I said last week, and I've said before when people ask me this question, the basketball players are better than they were when Morgan and I were growing up in the 90s and the early 2000s. Like these players score a lot more. They're better players. They use the 3-point line more. They're unicorns. And that is Kevin Durant's influence, because Kevin Durant, when he came in, he was a unicorn. Like people were saying, are you a forward or a guard? He was like, I can bring the ball up and I can shoot. It's not that hard. And that's the evolution of basketball players. They are better. It's not like Gilbert. Just sometimes when you're talking about the sport, I say this all the time. Basketball doesn't have a fan problem. It has a media problem. Like a lot of these old guard media members really destroy the reach of the NBA, and I think they need to do something about it. This is about the players who say stuff like, "Oh, these new players are soft." Like, embrace it, dog. Like, it's not what it used to be. Like, we're not allowing fights anymore at the NBA arena. Like what happened with the Pistons and the Pacers when Morgan and I were younger, killed that. Who doesn't remember, if you're a millennial, where you were when the brawl at the Palace of Auburn Hills happened? Like, come on now, like it's not like the basketball has gotten a lot better. It's gotten more global and international. It was always that, but it's gotten a lot better. And so, like, a lot of this stuff, you just need to shush sometimes, Gilbert. Like, just be happy. Basketball is better. They're about to get billions of dollars for a new rights deal next year to split it between Amazon and somebody else. That's my prediction. It'll be split between Amazon and somebody else next fall. Like, and so like I just think that that basketball is up and it's being brought down by these old guard media members and Gilbert Arenas. So Gilbert Arenas, he's not him. My they aren't them. It's very unfortunate that I have to do this, but my they aren't them is more of a push for these people. Villanova. Look, like after I texted you guys about it to Morgan and how y'all were on the upkeep, you then lost to Seton Hall. Bad loss. bad loss. Like, you know, I need y'all to get it up, man. Y'all, the Big East tournament is coming up next week. At least win 2 games. Like Kyle Neptune has gotten better. He got the memo from what I've been saying, what a lot of people have been saying to him. He needs to make a tournament. And in order for that to happen, y'all have to win. So they need y'all. He needs you guys to at least win 2 games. So my day aren't them to Villanova. Get back up there. It's been too long. You need to be back in the tournament, or else Kyle Neptune will be coaching for his job next year. Again, that is a prediction / assumed to be. As Morgan knows, I don't say these things in a vacuum. Like I've been talking about Kyle Neptune and how he needs to, and how they need to be better for him, or else they will definitely fire him soon. So he needs to get it up there. And am I done? Do I have a she's not her? I don't think so. I honestly, you know what?
I only have one this week. I don't have a ton.
I'm gonna leave Kim Mulkey alone, but you know, my she is her to Angel Reese for getting Shaquille O'Neal to walk her down during her senior day. It's kind of gotten better, you know. I like Angel Reese, the cousin of Jordan Hawkins. And I think that Angel Reese is a great basketball player, and I think it says a lot about you when you can get Shaquille O'Neal, one of the best basketball alumni in LSU history, to walk you down for your senior day. So my she is her to Angel Reese, who obviously with Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers taking up a lot of the oxygen. She's kind of flown under the radar, but she will be a top 3 pick in this year's upcoming draft. To you.
Cool.
Well, I haven't.
Love it. So I've been doing as much research as I can on this. So my he's not him is Aaron Rodgers. Start there. I want him to stop doing media and just focus on rehabbing and getting better and stop running his freaking mouth. So he did a podcast with Eddie Bravo that came out, I think today or yesterday. Talked about him wanting to play for 4 more years, all this stuff. Now, there's this tweet circulating, and I cannot confirm if it's true or not. So I don't want to read too much into it, but it has a whole list of all these other stuff that they talked about that's going to be on the next iteration of the podcast. It's like crazy. And I really hope it's not true, because if it is, like, and it ends with, if the sports media ever watch this, they'll shite themselves. And
is that the screenshot I saw with like who's the real Anthony Fauci assassinations and all that? Was that one?
Yes, yes. Night? I don't know if it's real or not. I hope it's not. I really hope it's not. But that it would just be an extra like 15 bonuses to why Aaron Rodgers is my he's not him. But like, I don't know. I just feel like he keeps talking the talk. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. This is who we need to keep. Like, you're not the GM. Like, stop. If I was the Jets, I would be like, stop talking. Like, you're doing what you did last offseason because you think that it worked because you got all the little players that you wanted to get. So you're making everybody else's jobs more difficult. I just want him to like, shh. I'm sick of talking about him. And a positive one. So my she is her is to all the women. Happy International Women's Day. You know, being a female myself, you know, we being a woman is awesome. I love it. And I love the opportunity to get to like mentor and talk with other young females, you know, regardless of if they are in the sports industry or not. I think it's really important to show support rather than I think women can get catty sometimes. And I like on days like today where everybody is uplifting each other. And I wish this could be something that we did all year rather than just once a year. So she's not hers to all the ladies out there. I see you. I love you. We're in this together.
Amen. Amen. Shouts out to all the women in my life and in this thing that makes this podcast go. Like I said, Morgan, man, this podcast wouldn't be what it was. I mean, I've done it. I could talk myself, but you definitely bring the energy as well. to this podcast, and I'm so happy
I
that you
appreciate that.
decided to do this with me and bring that energy. So really do appreciate it.
Thank
On
you.
this International Women's
Me-
Day, I want to shout out you and all the other women, whether they're in sports media or just in the media in general, or
Exactly. Or
anywhere.
just in,
Like, if you're killing it, if you're a woman that's killing it, shouts out to you. So yeah. So final thoughts. We really hope that you guys enjoyed this. Morgan is always on the move. Like I said, she has I think her last dance thing this weekend. And we really appreciate y'all, whether you watch right now or later, for following this podcast. Continue to do so. Hopefully, we'll be back to Thursdays at 3:30 if
Yes, I
Morgan's
think
schedule
next week
allows.
Thursdays at 3:30 should be relatively okay. Well, now that I say that, I'll be in Virginia for a wedding thing, but I think 3:30 will still work next week. But I appreciate you guys still following up even with crazy schedules. But if any of you, I'm sure a lot of you listening work in sports media, you understand the grind never stops.
It never does. And like we said, we really enjoy you guys. We thank you for tuning in to Sports Hour Plus with Miller and Watson, where we try to give you your sports news in an hour plus. So thank you guys. And until next time, see you next week.
Bye.
Peace out.